YouTube? This your boy Zara Black here today to bring you another Ruby video. So I haven't done a Ruby video in a while, and I thought I'd continue with my little versus series. So today we're going to be taking a look at two different pairings. We're going to be taking a look at the Lancaster pairing and the Arkos pairing. So when it comes to these two pairings, I honestly thought that if a ship war was going to occur in Ruby, it will be between Jean and Pyrrha or Jean and Ruby, because when first introduced, I assumed that Jean was the de facto love interest to Ruby, but it didn't happen that way. Honestly, the word that caught my attention when this happened was when John said, "Where am I going to find another nice, quirky girl to talk to?" So instantly, that got me thinking that John might have had a small feeling, a crush on Ruby. Well, I might be wrong. But then I got to looking at the moments between Jean and Ruby and Jean and Pyrrha. And to be honest, there were quite equal amount of moments between the two. So let's talk about the pairing that can no longer be, Arkos. So we don't have an exact moment when Pyrrha started liking John. Maybe it was crush at first sight, when he didn't know who she was right off the bat, which was probably something that kind of sparked it. And the way Weiss was hyping Pyrrha up probably made Pyrrha very uncomfortable in that moment. But when John didn't know who she was, she actually, well, kind of blushed at it. She liked that aspect about him, that he didn't know who I was. He didn't see me as this invincible girl who everyone else sees. And then throughout the rest of the volume 1, 2, and until the unfortunate incident in volume 3, they were actually going places. In volume 3 is where it really picked up. It picked up at the moment when Pyrrha was trying to make her choice. She told John about destiny and something that could change destiny. And then the moment that made the fandom go nuts, the kiss. But as we all know, about 10 minutes later, the kiss didn't mean jack diddly as she died. And what was interesting to me was that it wasn't John who saw her last moments, it was Ruby. John was the last friendly person to talk to her. Ruby was the last person to see her die. Now, let's hop on over to Ruby and John. Ruby and John, they had a very awkward friendship. And funnily enough, when I originally started liking them as a couple, it was the moment when Ruby and John had in the dance to the socially awkward. I love that part. Like, there they were, socially awkward. We're comrades. Cling. But that's not one of the main things that sparked between them. They were both awkward around people, and Ruby was younger than everyone. John didn't believe he was ready to be a person at Beacon, or he snuck his way into Beacon. But as the volumes continued, we saw a couple of moments between them that kind of pushed me a little bit in a direction towards the future of Ruby. One of the main things that kind of solidified this was when Ren was willing to let, I think it was Ren. I had to go back and watch the episode, but when Ren was talking about leaving Crow behind, John was quick to come to Ruby's defense, like very quick. Now, I want to draw a couple of parallels between Ruby and Pyrrha right now, so bear with me. For starters, they're both incredibly powerful despite their young age. And I know a lot of people are gonna hit me with this, but Ruby was a fighting prodigy compared to most people, even in the show. I have no doubt that if push came to shove, if it was Ruby versus Pyrrha in a one-on-one fight, Pyrrha might be able to beat Ruby, but it would be a very close fight. I also believe that Ruby and Pyrrha were on the same wavelength and level of which one could have been with Jean. I mean, we all see that Ruby doesn't have any true romantic feelings towards anyone in the show, but it could have happened that way if let's say for whatever reason Ruby and Pyrrha were swapped on teams. It could have happened. I mean, we see what Team Ranger does, and we see the way that their team dynamic is. How would it have turned out if Pyrrha had ended up on Team Ruby instead? We need a new name for that one. Somebody in the comment section, come up with a name for if Pyrrha was in Team Ruby instead of Ruby. Like, somebody does it. Somebody do it. But I digress. I kind of got off topic. I'm actually, but as I was saying earlier, despite the Black Sun versus Bumblebee war that goes on, I was entirely convinced when I first saw Ruby that Arkos versus Lancaster was going to be the big one. But I see that's wrong now. As far as the future of Arkos goes, I know there are a lot of people who are hoping that Pyrrha comes back. I'm not one of them. And as far as Lancaster goes, I'm actually rooting for Lancaster to become an official pairing. Like, it's kind of a deserved pairing, if you ask me. But what are your thoughts? Leave them down in the comment section below. And I hope you guys enjoyed this little video discussion. This has been Zara Black.